Tunaelekea kumbili ya jimbo linalokusikiza.
Napenda kuwashukuru watu wote kwa kuja, walimu, wadau wenzetu wa kampeni ya Tuungane Kutokomeza Malaria.
You children,
hasa nyie watoto,
and young global leaders.
Na ndugu zetu wa young global leaders.
Can they please stand up? Let's see them.
Naomba young global leaders wasimame wao.
Can the young global leaders stand up so that the children can see you? Please give them a big round of applause, children.
Jamani, tuwapigie makofi makubwa.
Because I want you to look at them and aspire to be like them and want to be like them and be like them.
Ninapenda muangalie, mtamani kuwa kama wao, niweke mipango ya kuwa kama wao, na siku moja na nyie muwe kama wao, viongozi mashuhuri duniani.
Asante. Thank you. People are dying. Can we learn from their past? Never take anything for granted. Let the children live. They have so much to give. Me, Toto, who just wants to live. Me, Toto, who wants to survive. Me, Toto, who just wants to live. Me, Toto, who wants to survive. Let the children be the children. Let the children live and learn. Let the children be together. We don't need no child soldier. Some are dying of hunger. Some are dying of malaria. Maybe if we work together, we could break down many, many barriers.
Habari yako? Naitwa Divesh Ramanande.
His name is Divesh Ramanande.
I am the manager, general manager of the company.
Yeye ni manager mkuu wa kampuni ya Express.
Nice to see you all here.
Anafurahi kuwaona nyote hapa.
On behalf of A to Z,
Kwa niaba ya kiwanda cha A to Z,
CEO and the management, I would like to present for 150 hospital beds to this school students.
anapenda kutoa zawadi ya chandarua 150 kwa wanafunzi wote wa hapa. Hali zenu?
I think first, I will just say, my name is Johan. I'm born in Norway. I live in Canada, and I want everybody from the YTL to stand up and say what the name are and where they're from, so you know where they're from. Okay?
Yeah.
I want to
that the world did not take this seriously enough, that it was actually implemented for children in the first year as well. I mean, there was no structure of it, there's no activities. There's no potential for them to participate. And how can you break the cycle of violence when you know that the only way that they can be participating is by being a child soldier, a suicide bombers? How can you stop the diseases when they don't know that they're creating a disease? Or the development of the communities itself. I mean, the respect for women, the whole kind of concepts and process we can do. Then we took the kind of the simple concept of play and sport as an educational tool. I mean, we developed onto that messages, and that's what you've seen today. Actually, it's an incentive. The children love playing, and we love playing. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Okay, it is actually fun. I mean, even it's fun for us. It's fun for kids to participate. You create a new relationship or dynamics with adults. You create new role models in the society who can actually impact you on a certain part of the child of their type of thoughts and behavior and what they think they can do. In the packages, these are just a few couple of the games. I wanted to show them to you. This is in English. So we have written out these games with a clear objectives of what you're going to learn through those games. It's on the left side of the package. In the wall here. These were some of the Malaria games which we've been playing. The mosquito ball, under the net, and a circle of protection, which is some of the things which we've been doing today. 3 of the simple games. We have, so over the years, now the communities themselves are developing these games. They are coming up with new ways of using traditional games to play and adding educational messages to it. We have now over 600 to 700 of these games created in Right to Play with an all element of education. So it's divided into 4 different areas. It's basic life skills, because it's just a critical part of child's development is basic life skills. It's the only, and then it's health prevention issues, which you talked about malaria, HIV/AIDS, TB, the importance of vaccinations, all type of infectious diseases, non-communicable diseases is also in certain part. Then there is a conflict prevention and resolution area. So we're working a lot in areas of conflict. There is a war happening, there's an active war, or if it's part of the refugee camps, or if it's part of the recruitment of child soldiers, or kind of elements of trying to regain child soldiers out of the rebel groups and take them back into society using play and that. So it's all elements of the goal there, which we're measuring is reduction of violence, particularly in the groups, addition to school, attention to school, and that type of thing, because we know that if they're staying in school, they're reducing violence and that type of behavior. And the last area we're doing is community development. I mean, everything is based on building up the communities in the locations we are. Everything is local, as you've seen here. There's local coaches and teachers, local staff, there are local people who are actually implementing and active on it. We found that that's the sustainable factor in this organization, is that we're kind of building up these local structures, spending a lot of efforts, time, funding on training individuals. Training, maintenance, evaluation, learning circles. All the things we heard about this morning is about how do you communicate, how do you have a relationship with the communities, how do you build those relationships with individuals, what are they learning, what do they expect to have, how can that kind of create results over the long term. And then building, actually measuring on the relationships as well within the communities in our program. This is when we started just in a couple of refugee camps in Ivory Coast and Angola in 2001. And it grew dramatically now to being 23 countries. I mean, in the beginning we had 200 to 300 kids in our program, which we tested it out. Now we have 15,000 coaches and 700,000 children in activity every single week. Systematically. 700,000.
700,000 children a week.
A week in our program. So, and we want to have 1 million children through this program in 2012. And I was saying regular activity means that the 1 million has to be going at least 44 to 46 weeks a year to our program. So they are active that way. So that's a measurement. And that doesn't matter where they are, if there's living in a community, if they drop out of schools, if there's EU school programs. We're working in all types of settings in the communities. Teachers, coaches coming together, and then we provide them with a little amount of money, which is an investment, and then they do income generating activities from that. So they kind of try to find ways to be able to kind of create an own income around the play and sport activities. That's one of the challenges we have because, of course, the incentives for kind of creating them to keep going doing the activities because they're volunteers. That's one of the challenges we're doing. So we don't need to kind of retrain new people, but part of the training and evaluation is a key element because they can go grades to become higher and higher up in the system. So they are better trained and they are more recognized in the community. And that's another way to incentivize the volunteerism. That's a good question. I can't really answer that yet because they're so different between the different communities. But they have, I mean, let's say that there's about 150 of the 650 games are kind of, you can see everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go, you find them. And there might be then about 200 which they are changing, they are interchangeable between different locations. And then hopefully 600.
And two questions. First one, I think is going to be uncomfortable, but how much of the new countries that you go to the countries is donor driven and how much is mission driven? And the second question is, who are your biggest funders?
So initially when we started it was 100% donor driven. It was opportunistic. Okay, here is the money, somebody gave me money, you go there, boom, fantastic. Okay, and then somebody else gave us more money, we got one run there. And then we said, oh wow, we don't have money for this program anymore, now we have to go there. It's crazy. In 2005 we made a whole change. So after 5 years of craziness, we kind of realized, okay, let's create a strategy. We created a program or an organizational strategy which made that we were a mission-driven organization based on program needs. The problem is that we found out that there was about 125 countries who could need our programs. And then there was thousands of communities within those countries. Okay? So what we did is that we already had a footprint, a pretty large footprint, and we said we're going to only strengthen in those countries who already existed. So we kind of made the measurement in that. And then we created 7 criteria for expansion. And one of those 7 is funding. That funding has to be at least 50 years before we can start a new program. So we haven't really started any new programs for the last couple of years due to that. And we do try all of the unrestricted and restricted funding, try to build in the countries already. Like Simon will say, you know, we had to cut his budgets this year because he wanted to do a bit more than what we actually could afford. I mean, our donors had not provided us enough funds to what the needs are for him to be able to run the solid programs in the communities. Our main donors are as of about 40% of our funding comes from government. So we have this international development aid. US, Canada is now the largest, Norway is the second largest, Holland, Switzerland, and we get a little bit from the UK. And then we have, so that's about 40%. Then we have about 20%, 10-15% which is foundation, which is still restricted funding. And the rest is private funding. It's from individuals and corporations. Individuals could be high net worth, and there could be small donations. And there could be corporations, which is corporate sponsorship.
What's your yearly budget?
About $30 million. A year. And we have to raise that every year. So you constantly, but we do raise money in 6 countries. We have set up national offices, so we have an office in Switzerland, in the UK, in Holland, in Norway, and then the US and in